Would that be a good argument? The fact that it's part of our culture to eat these animals.
I think so.
There are cultural practices that we would vehemently disagree with in the West. Things like female genital mutilation, for instance. I mean, if we were to go over there and say, look, cutting clitoris is off, it's morally wrong because it causes suffering to the individual. And if they were to say to you, it's part of our culture, this has happened for generations and generations, do you think that in any way would justify the mutilation?
No, but I think that's not like like you can't compare that, I think.
I guess it's just we're just talking about whether culture justifies violence.
Well, when there's things in terms of
mean,
because that's violence against humans.
Sure, yeah.
I do think that humans are obviously human life and human rights are above other animal rights.
And how would we justify that difference?
Well, by all the other factors that separate human from animal.
What is the difference in traits between a human and a non-human that justifies doing it to the non-human but not the human?
I guess for method of elimination, it wouldn't be pain because both feel pain.
Right.
But in terms of
I appreciate I'm putting you on the spot here.
yeah,
Feel free to take time to think about it. I mean, there are many differences between us and animals. What we're looking for is the difference that justifies the difference in treatment.
I'm just trying to think
Yeah.
of what's coming on top of my head right now, but humans are more intelligent animals.
Yes, that's true.
Self-conscious, you know.
If we were to find a human being with the intelligence of a pig, would that justify treating the human being worse?
No, because on average humans humans are I mean, I think we're all the same species.
I suppose what we're doing there is we're saying they're not part of our group. But would that be any different to say someone saying they're not part of my race, they're not part of my biological sex? Are we just drawing these lines where they're saying that you're part of the in-group, you're part of the out-group? Is it just arbitrary if we can't name a meaningful trait difference?
I don't think so. I mean, because I think race and sex, it's all within the same species,
If we were to find another species of animal who had the same intelligence, the same sentience as us, but they were a different species, they can talk like us, they can suffer like us, would we say it's justified to put them in cages and kill them and eat them because they're a different species?
I think if there was, then no. But
then it wouldn't be species. You don't think species is the reason why we should discriminate on them? Because we could hypothetically imagine a species that are of an intellectual ability and a sentience level. I mean, I'm mentioning these things, but I guess these things don't matter. If it's just species.
The thing is, I think I would say with that, that's quite a stretch of a hypothetical, because I think what I mean is, yeah, obviously if there was a species like that, it would be hard to say what the situation would be, and obviously...
Okay, how about orangutans?
Okay.
They're a different species to us. Would it be okay to put them in cages where they can't turn around, to mutilate them, and to slit their throats?
No, because for what reason?
For food, we enjoy the way they taste, say.
Well, if there's no other option around, if that's what the human community in that area where they are would have to rely on for sustenance,
right. Yeah.
I think that's justifiable.
What about the situation that we're in London? How would we justify what we're doing to animals in factory farms for meat, dairy, and eggs?
Well, most people justify it because from what they see is it's cheaper, and they just enjoy that food more, that taste
Right.
more.
But if I said I enjoy the way orangutans taste,
Well, I don't know.
I appreciate I'm making this kind of difficult for you. But do you agree that species in itself isn't a good enough justification to torture or kill someone?
If it's not necessary.
Right. So
then
it's whether it's a necessity that you say that's what matters. Do you think that what really matters when we're looking at who should have moral value is the capacity to suffer?
when you have the choice. As in,
Just generally, we don't think it's morally wrong to eat a carrot, eat potatoes, because it's not like anything to be one of these things. They're not sentient. They can't suffer. It doesn't make a difference to them whether we eat them. Whereas when we think about pigs, chickens, cows, orangutans, if we stick those in a cage, then there's someone who's feeling something unpleasant. There's someone there experiencing it. In the same way, if we were to be put in a cage, we'd experience a lot of unpleasantness and we'd want to be out of that situation. Do you think it's the suffering that really matters when determining what's right and wrong? Causing suffering to a being when we don't need to, is that wrong?
Yes. I had steak yesterday.
Shame on you.
When I was buying it, I didn't feel too guilty. I did obviously consider, I was like, oh, well, this was a dead cow. But I didn't feel exactly guilty.
Sure.
I was like, yeah, I'm going to have some good food.
Yeah.
I feel bad saying it. But I can understand that moral stance.
But where's the morality in this? Aren't we just saying, I like the way it tastes?
I guess the process that goes through my brain is like, well, it's just a cow. Like it's that difference again between the species. They actually matter a lot, but they matter for our nutrition.
They don't matter intrinsically. Do you think their suffering matters to them?
Well, obviously, I don't know. Humans and cows, they deserve different treatment, I think.
I mean, I acknowledge that we should treat them differently because their needs are different. But when it comes to their suffering, this is what I think. I think if their suffering is equalized, there's someone in there. There's a sentient mind in this body, and they're experiencing something unpleasant. If that experience is exactly is the same, that the suffering is equalized, I can't find a reason to say that one is worse than the other. And I'm like, I acknowledge that I had the same intuition as you, that human suffering matters more, and humans are the ones that matters, and animals, they're just animals. But when we try and think about this rationally, and we try and think, what is it about the animal that makes it okay to do this to them? It's hard. I think it's hard to find a reason.
There's a reason why we're here talking, and it's not cows or other animals that have brought the world to. I mean, sorry, I'm getting cold. I don't mean to sound like I'm shoving, but like,
it's fine. It's intellect, it's cognitive capacity, but should we treat mentally disabled people worse because they have lower intelligence?
No, because they're still it's still the same. It's still humans, because we're still we have to have like a sort of respect and mutual kind of like we're
It's tribalism, really, isn't it? It's saying you're closer to me, so I'm going to treat you better.
To contribute something to the society and the government and the civil life that humans have, that our species has created, is not going to be the same as if you give a pig a right to vote.
Do you think if there were certain groups of humans who didn't have the cognitive capacity to contribute to our society, would we be justified in discriminating against them and harming them or treating them worse?
No, I don't know about hypotheticals right now because it makes it more complicated. I mean, I guess that's the whole point of ethics, is to make it complicated.
To have these questions.
I get it. I get what you mean and everything. I just.
Well, I'll leave it there, and I'll make sure I give you some resources.
Sure.
I'll leave you one more question then.
Okay.
If you could live a life where you harm humans, animals, or neither, which would you strive for, and which would be more in line with your own morals?
I would strive to harm neither.
Do you think that being vegan would be closer to that goal?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Well, great. I'll leave it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate I'm putting you on the spot.
No, it's okay,
But that was
sorry.
really interesting, so thank you. I'll give you a card.
Okay.